What's going on, everybody? Just wait for the. See if we get some familiar names here. Feels like it's been a minute. I haven't streamed for a couple weeks. Hello, Arrowland. Hello, Three Bros Podcast. What's up, Skadoo? I always can depend on you. Hello, Stephen Farrow. Hello, Art of Ash. I set a timer to make sure I don't miss a Godzilla YouTuber stream. A NES game, what have I done with my life? Sounds like you got your priorities straight, man. Yeah, you noticed the break in streams? Yeah, I just kind of felt like taking a break from doing them every week. Plus, I've been a little bit more busy, so. Can you make a video with all Godzilla scenes from all the movies? That's just stealing content, so no. Do you want my channel to get a copyright strike? If you get 3 of those, your channel's done. Plus, even if that wasn't the case, I still would have to say no to that because that's just taking somebody else's content and just putting it on YouTube. So, don't even know what Rampage is. It's a long-running but monster destruction series, but there hasn't been a new installment for a long time. What's up, Tippet? Not to brag, but I don't think I've missed a stream since the Shadow of the Colossus streams. Yeah, I don't think you have. I believe you, Skidoo. Will I review the Rampage movie? I think you can assume that I will get to that movie at some point, yes. And it may or may not be coincidence that I'm playing this right now. I'll just say that. Let's just get started. Now, this is the very first Rampage game ever made. It came out in 1986. Normally, if I had a choice, I would be playing as Lizzie because Lizzie is closest to Godzilla, and that's always the character that I chose whenever I played these games when I was a kid. But with the first game, it was an arcade game, so the characters were corresponded with the players. So if you're playing by yourself, you're player 1, and George is player 1. Player 2 is Lizzie, player 3 is George. So in order to play as Lizzie, you have to be player 2. And since I'm playing by myself, I have to be George, so I don't get to be Lizzie. Now the goal of this game is very simple, is to destroy everything. Destroy and eat everything you can. While the military does their best to undermine you. See this little guy right here? He tries to put a bomb at the building to take my thunder away. Now I'm going to try to eat him, but it doesn't look like I'm going to get to him in time, so... Let's go eat this guy up here. Take this helicopter out. The first game's pretty basic, but it's fun for a little while. Must destroy car. Yep. Ooh, money. Ooh, fruit. And that's how Rampage works too, is that there's always little goodies behind some windows. Some of them are good, and some of them are bad. Like, I don't know what the deal is with this. Uh-oh. Oh. Should you make a top 10 video of which monster should join the Monsterverse? Maybe. I got another top 10 Monsterverse film or video coming up very soon. Currently in the middle of writing that, so that should come out within the next few weeks. I'm going to try to get out as soon as I can. Climb up the building, yeah. And see, when you die, you turn into a little naked human because these monsters actually used to be humans before they got turned. Now, normally in the arcade version, you'd have to put another quarter in to keep playing, but luckily I'm playing a port, so I have infinite lives. Oh, oh, stupid bombs. Who just puts bombs in a building? You see how that guy pops out right there? He tries to take a picture of you and stuns you with the flash. Did I hear about Son of Kong? I did. It's interesting. I mean, not super surprising considering Godzilla vs. Kong did really well. But it's very clear from the fact that they're... I mean, this isn't confirmed. This is just what sources close to Legendary are saying. But it sounds like they're kind of going all in on the Kong side of the MonsterVerse at the very least. Godzilla at this point is up in the air because I don't know if there's a rights thing. Apparently Toho only gave them the rights... Oh, no, 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 no! Toho only gave them the rights to 4 films, I assume, or at least until a certain time period. And that time period, as far as I know, has passed. So, as far as Godzilla's role in the MonsterVerse, that is unclear at this point. But regardless of what happens with Godzilla, we are probably most definitely getting a Kong film again. Because the 2 Kong films from the MonsterVerse are the ones that performed the best at the box office. So the studio, or Legendary, is looking at that and going, well, Kong is the biggest box office draw, so we at the very least need to make more Kong films. Whether Godzilla is a part of it, don't know. Oh my god, there's so many military men. He's too close for me to eat him. Come here, 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 come here. Ah, I couldn't reach him. So where's Ralph? I don't have 2 other people to play with me, so there's no Ralph. Yellow shirt guy! Oh, I couldn't get to him. Legendary's contract with Toho had expired in 2020, so it's up in the air. Yep. Depends on whether Toho thinks it's in their best interest to keep the Godzilla character going in the MonsterVerse. Before I watched Godzilla vs. Kong, who did I think was going to win? I thought Kong was going to win just because he was going to be the underdog main character monster. So I was actually surprised when he lost. But they did it in a way that Kong still comes out looking good. So I'm pretty happy with the way things worked out. Godzilla won the fight, but Kong is still a hero of the movie. So they went the right path with it. Like, that was smart on them to do it that way. Now, the rest of the story may not exactly be the smartest, but they were smart in that respect. See, the guy's gonna pop out of this manhole to shoot at me, and then I eat him. And then you can punch the manhole lid, and if you're playing with other people, you can actually play catch with it. Or, not catch, but, like, I guess you could say tennis. The equivalent of tennis for monsters. I'm sad looking because I'm almost dead. I sense your internal struggle there. Do I spoil it? Do I spoil it? I actually wasn't thinking about that. I figure most people, that, especially if you're in the chat, have seen this movie by now. I guess depending on what country you're in, you maybe haven't seen it. Which, I'm sorry. Particularly Japan. That sucks. Did that sign say cats? Catch like how Godzilla never played catch in Godzilla vs. the Sea Monster? Not quite, because you don't actually catch the lid, but you kind of just punch it amongst yourselves. Now I'm destroying Detroit, apparently. Ow. Now, being a giant ape, I gotta. I got her. Oh, she's punching me. Nom 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 nom. And I ate her. Bye. Which MonsterVerse film is my favorite? I would say 2014, just by a hair. I just appreciate that film's restraint. I know a lot of people don't feel the same way, and that's fine, but coffee. Love this game. Recently did 2 videos. One is showing off my US and N64 collection. The other is a cool move for a game. Yeah, I have fond memories of playing this game when I was a kid. Not this one specifically, although I did play this one also. I back in the day, Midway before they went under, had a website that you could go to that had all their old arcade games like Joust. That's all I can remember off the top of my head. I know there were more though, and included on that website was Rampage, and so me and my brother would actually like sit at the computer, huddled around the keyboard, and we'd play together. He would be George and I'd be Lizzie, and we just sit there, huddled up at the computer and just playing Rampage. Although majority of the time, most of my memories of with this franchise came with the PlayStation version of World Tour, which was the second game in the series, I believe. That was also an arcade game, but they ported it to a lot of consoles as well. This port was ported to a lot of consoles as well, like the NES and everything, but the World Tour went on the N64 and the PlayStation. We rented that so much. Like, I loved Rampage World Tour when I was a kid. Like, I spent hours playing that game. Nowadays, I could not spend that much time playing Rampage because the game gets pretty old pretty quickly because it's very repetitive. But when I was a kid, I couldn't get enough of it because it was like the only game like it. What other game could you play a monster and destroy the city? Like, there was no game like it at the time. So it was the only game that was able to satiate my thirst for destruction. So we probably rented it like, I don't know, 10 times. Now we're just in Cleveland. Yeah, then after World Tour was Universal Tour, where you go into space. You do go into space in World Tour, briefly, in like the last final stretch of the game. You go to the moon, I think. Whereas Universal Tour, you actually go to other planets, if I remember correctly. And you play as other different monsters. There's a crab monster named Ruby, I think. A rhino named Boris, and then a rat named I can't remember. This game is repetitive. Then how long are you gonna stream for? I don't know, maybe an hour or so. I don't think it'll be as long as other streams, but I figured since it's been a while since I streamed, I might as well do something. Who would win, Godzilla or Gamera? I mean, part of Gamera's thing is that he's also got like an underdog angle to him, even in like the Heisei series. But he always comes out on top, so I feel like they'd have a similar dynamic to Kong and Godzilla. I mean, I would say Godzilla again. He's just sturdier. That's ultimately what Godzilla's got going for him. Is he's just too sturdy. Like Kong may have other things like speed and agility and intelligence, but ooh, I ate a cactus. That's not good. But at the end of the day, none of that matters when your opponent is like a mountain. Like you can punch a mountain as much as you want. It's not going to do anything. So annoying. How's my day so far? It was pretty good. Not the greatest, but not bad. It's just another day. What time is it in America? Well, it depends on where you're at in America. Where I'm at, it is 8 o'clock right now. Oh, George, you're such a klutz. I want to get that lady. Come here. No, you went away. There we go. Ow, ow. No, I can't let her get away. No. I failed. So I think the monsters will continue. I mean, it's confirmed that it's going to continue. It's just whether it's going to continue with Godzilla being involved in any way. At this point, I'm really not sure. I just feel like Kong's got a lot more cultural momentum going for him right now, considering uh, he really was the main character in Godzilla vs Kong, and that movie did so well. Like that's and he connected with audiences. Like that's the one takeaway from the movie more than anything was that people liked Kong. Like they connected with his character. They felt for him, and so that's gonna be the kind of the priority for the MonsterVerse is to hone in on that, which makes sense considering that's what's resonating with audiences. Now, whether that's gonna involve Godzilla, I don't know. Hey, Madison Russell's here. How's it going? No. Okay. I thought it was a game over. Gotta eat the yellow man. I made this recommendation on Twitter when they announced that it might be Son of Kong, like that's the rumor, and I was like, well, why not do Son of Godzilla too? Like, and I actually think that would be really cool because you can continue on the rivalry between Godzilla and Kong. Only now it's their kids. Like they both discovered more of their own kind at the same time. A little coincidental, but it's not the first movie to kind of take the short route. But and then it becomes almost like a Fox and the Hound type story where you Godzilla and Kong. Well, they may have kind of made peace at the end of Godzilla vs Kong. They're not friends. They just kind of begrudgingly like, okay, you can have your turf, I'll have mine. But they're still not bros or anything like that. So the idea of their kids hanging out or anything, it doesn't sit right with them. Kong tells his son, stay away from Godzilla's son. He's not one of us. He's mean. Whereas Godzilla tells his son, Kong's like he tried to take my turf and I put him in his place. Stay away from him. And then the movie's all about them uh, becoming friends anyway, and the conflict of you know reconciliation between their parents. It would be cool. I think that there's a lot of potential there. Kiko versus Manila, that's quite a concept. Yeah, exactly. Like both Kong and Godzilla have had sequels titled Son of Kong or Godzilla, and I think Why not play with that concept? You already have Godzilla and Kong in the same universe. Make another Son of, but with both of them. You stay away from that Kong boy, ain't nothing but trouble. Exactly. And then after that, then you can have Godzilla and Kong be more allies, and then you can come up with a big bad to really kind of unite them. Stick them up so where they draw a line down the middle of the Earth, and Godzilla and Kong have to stay on their own sides. Yeah, I mean that's kind of what they did. Kong's got Hollow Earth, which is pretty much a planet in and of itself, whereas Godzilla's got the surface. Come here, Bomb Man, get over here. Ah, he's too fast for me. Still have an idea lying around with Madison raising Godzilla Jr. in a Son of Godzilla movie, giving her more character, her and Godzilla more character. Yeah, that's not a bad idea. We can keep Madison around. I got no problems with that. Just do better with her than you did in Godzilla vs. Kong. Haha, you missed your chance, bro. See you later, Three Bros Podcast. Thanks for stopping by. A monster threatens their kids and they have to work together. Yeah. And they each have their own, Godzilla and Kong each have their own arc and how they respond to their kids. Like, I imagine Godzilla's very, like, he doesn't really want to do it because Godzilla's kind of a loner jerk, really. Really, when you really think about it, he prefers to be left alone. So now all of a sudden he's got to raise his kid. It's like, oh, God, come on. But at the same time, it is another of his species, and he thought he was alone. So even though he doesn't really like the idea of raising a son, he kind of has to because he realizes that it'd be wrong to just leave this last of his kind by themselves. So he takes them on begrudgingly, whereas Kong is probably, well, not probably, we know he'd be a lot more enthusiastic about it. He'd be the happy-go-lucky dad, the one who's very, like, hands-on. Whereas Godzilla would be the neglectful father, which we kind of saw in the original Son of Godzilla, the way he treats Minella at the beginning. Kind of just sleeping, lets Minella do his thing. Then Minella gets in trouble, and Godzilla shows up, and he's just like, what are you doing, dude? And then Minella throws a tantrum, and Godzilla has to punish him. Madison got slandered in GVK, found out some new things from the concept arc. Madison had a fight scene with Apex guys, and there was visual storytelling about her clothes. Yeah, a lot was cut out of this movie. And really, that's the reason more than anything why I gave it 3 stars, which I just got a kind of a nasty comment today about it. They're basically was all like, you're totally wrong, bro. This is a 5 out of 5 movie. You're an idiot. It's like, did you listen to anything I said? You just saw the 3 stars and assumed that I thought the movie was bad? I still like it. I still was satisfied with it. A 3 star is not that bad. And there are, it's not all 3 stars are not created equal. I don't know if I've ever mentioned it on a stream before, but that's my philosophy. Just because 2 movies have 3 stars doesn't mean I like them the same or that they're the same quality. It's just a general kind of visual way of representing how I feel about the movie. What I say matters more than the rating. There will always be people like that? Yeah, I don't care about comments like that. Toilet. I love the monster stuff in GVK, but the human stuff, woof. I mean, yeah, that's pretty much it. Which is why I don't... The people are all like, the monster stuff is the only reason why I hear. It's like, you really don't have a movie then. I mean, I know the argument is Kong is the main character, and that is true. And when the movie is focused on him as a character, it is at its best. but over half the movie is human scenes. So you're saying basically saying that half of the movie is not good is what people who say that are saying. That's not a good movie then if you say that. No, I wouldn't go that far, but there are people who've said that. Godzilla's personality about raising a child. I have better things in life. Godzilla's better things are sleeping. Like that's all he does. That's always been his like defining characteristic. He stays in the water and he sleeps until he's forced to leave the water. And depending on which version of Godzilla we're talking about, it's either to save the world from another monster, or he just feels like destroying some buildings, like the Heisei Godzilla. That's what he would do. He'd stay in the water and sleep until he's like, you know what, I could destroy some buildings right now, and then he does, and then he goes back to the water. I don't get people who think that only the best thing ever equals good. It's like you say a movie is good and they think you're saying it's terrible. Yeah, I mean, if you go to my review of, listen to my review of Godzilla vs Kong, I say a lot of good things about that movie. And you know, I'm doing a top 10 of the moments of the MonsterVerse video right now, and there are moments from GVK on there, a lot of moments. Because the things it does well, it does really well. And to be fair, the things that needed to nail it are the things that it nails, though. So, since you reviewed the original Mighty Joe Young, are you going to review the '98 remake? That is a safe assumption to make. In your opinion, which MonsterVerse film has the best final battle? See, this is where I would say Godzilla vs. Kong. Like, even though it's my least favorite of the MonsterVerse films, its final battle is pretty awesome. I guess the final battle is Mechagodzilla. I'm not as big a fan of that one as the Godzilla vs. Kong fight that precedes it. So if you're including that in the final battle, like the final Godzilla vs. Kong battle, that one is probably the best monster fight of the MonsterVerse. Don't run me over. I was so ecstatic when Godzilla shot an entire hole from Hong Kong to Antarctica. Well, it was technically the center of the Earth, not Antarctica. I was so proud of how far we've come from Godzilla 1988. Yeah, that's definitely an observation. It's like, remember back in the 90s when they just could not accept the fact that Godzilla was silly, and they tried their hardest to make Americans treat him seriously by basically turning him into a giant iguana, because God forbid we have a giant thick-thighed radioactive like big dinosaur like thing walking around. No, we got to make him like a T-Rex, because anything less than that is just unrealistic. He's got to eat fish and lay eggs. It's like, well, that's not the case anymore. Now Godzilla's burning holes to the center of the Earth in like 5 seconds. Do you have any plans to review Pulgasari? I do have that in the back burner at some point. I've almost pulled the trigger on actually reviewing it a few times, but then other things come up. So be patient. I'll get to it eventually. I think after GVK we need some character focus again. Madison should be a good option. Recurring character already has some good setup. Yeah, that's one of the disappointing things about GBK was they had her and Mark already. Instead, they did absolutely nothing with Mark while doing nothing really interesting with Madison. So it's just bizarre. It's like you already have established characters. Why are you like Madison's story could have just been her and Mark. It didn't need to be podcast man and friend. And I'm currently listening to the audiobook of Godzilla vs. Kong, and it offers a lot more in-depth stuff to all the characters, Mark included. He has a lot of scenes. Now, you have to take that with a grain of salt because a lot of people assume that novelizations of movies are like scene for scene taken from the script. That is not the case. A lot of the stuff that authors come up with is just made up based on they've been given so far. So I would bet that a lot of the stuff that's in the novel that's not in the movie was never even filmed, never even written in the script. So don't assume that all this like extra Mark stuff that was in the book would even be in the movie. No, he definitely had scenes cut, but all the like super in-depth character work that's done in the novel, that's that's not going to be in the movie. No cut of the movie is going to have that. Cornbread or banana bread? These are the questions that matter. You know, I'm going to go with cornbread. I do like banana bread though, but cornbread just edges it out a little. Here's what I don't get about those dynamite guys. It's like you literally just walked to the building and blew it up for me. You did the destruction for me. At least wait until I'm on it before you do that. I don't understand your strategy. I ate him and the boat together. Realism for kaiju is coming up with something that makes it feel like there's something that big and it is real. You know, I was just thinking about that kind of concept today as I was driving to work, listening to the newly released full opening song for Godzilla Singular Point, and was just thinking about so far I'm 5 episodes in, and that series is very hard science fiction. And what I mean by that is that it deals with concepts that just fly right over my head. I mean, granted, it is in Japanese with subtitles that probably aren't the most accurate, so I'm probably missing a lot, so I can't wait for the English version in June. But that being said, it's very much inspired by Shin Godzilla, and that's very talky, and there's a lot of sciencey mumbo jumbo going on, and I'm just like, I have no idea what they're talking about. But what that does do is it grounds the story and the monsters and makes them feel realistic. And the reason why I find this interesting is because what they just introduced with Anguirus in the last episode I watched, which I'm not gonna spoil, is super out there. It is more ridiculous than anything in Godzilla vs. Kong. But because it's presented through the lens of science and like theoretics and all these things, it feels plausible. And that's the difference. Singular Point takes the time to make things feel believable and realistic, no matter how outlandish it gets. Godzilla vs. Kong could not care less about trying to be realistic. And so it comes off as less realistic and more silly. Singular Point, I think, is for big brain people. Maybe. I mean, I don't. Yeah, but there's stuff going on in that series that I'm really not even sure about. But what that does do is it makes it very rewatchable, so that's good. It's Shin Godzilla was kind of the same way. I didn't pick up on everything the first time I watched it. Between this and the anime trilogy, and it's very clear the influence Shin Godzilla has had on Toho's version of the character. They're very much going for being super out there and being very, or at least trying to be grounded in the way it presents its worlds and the scientific concepts behind things. Like even the anime trilogy was super detail oriented. Is Singapore on Netflix in Australia? No, it's only in Japan. But you can find fan sub versions if you have the knowledge to do so. That's all. I'll just leave it at that. But that being said, we're really not that far out until it releases in America. So unless you really can't wait like me, you can just wait. It's fine. But if you really want to watch it bad enough, you can find it. Or you can watch it in Japanese without any subtitles if you have a VPN, which, no thanks, I kind of want to know what's going on. Even though I don't know what's going on still, because it's so confusing. Oh, it shot me in the butt right as I regenerated. Yeah, I'm not going to reveal my official thoughts on Singular Point until it releases worldwide with the English dub. I'll just watch it a second time, which I think will be good. Watching it once in Japanese and once in English will really help me form a strong, solid opinion on it. Destroy the bank. Got to it first. Haven't played it in a long time, but I always reminisce on Rampage Total Destruction for the Wii. I'm actually playing this through Total Destruction because you can play both this and World Tour as bonus content. So technically, I'm playing Total Destruction right now, which, as far as I know, is the newest Rampage game. There hasn't been one since, and that's saying something considering that game came out in like what 2005 or 6 or something on the GameCube and PlayStation 2. So yeah, that really tells you how long it's been since there's been a Rampage game. HBO Max removed all the MonsterVerse films. I mean, Godzilla vs. Kong makes sense, but yeah, I don't know why they took down King of the Monsters. Like, I thought that's isn't that owned by Warner Brothers? I'm so confused by that. How I've been watching the series. There are places where you can find, uh, where you can watch anime, pretty much everywhere, both legally and illegally. Sorry, I gotta go get Yellow Shirt Guy. There should have been a Yellow Shirt Guy in the Rampage movie. There might have been. It's been so long since I've watched it. But now that would have been a great Easter egg. Who should I prefer, HH Monsters or NECA? Uh, I don't know. I'm not really an expert on it. I think I'd say SH Monster Arts. Although NECA is better in some respects as well. Was the pseudoscience in any way similar to 1989's Godzilla the series? Um, yes, and I would say more no, in the sense that uh, Godzilla series was written for children more, so the pseudoscience was presented more for kids, like which basically means it's a lot of hand holding and made up gobbledygook. Whereas I get the sense, again, I'm not a scientist, so maybe they are making it up on the spot. That tank just fell in the water. But I feel like Singular Point is trying its hardest to present real science. Like it's actually not just making stuff up. It's talking about light and photons and time travel and stuff like that, and it's all done in a way that it doesn't just sound like it was made up on the spot. And from what I understand, that's very much the case because the writer of this actually has a PhD. So, if you haven't, I would recommend watching. Oh my God, why am I blanking on the YouTube channel's name? Monstrosities, Jesus, Monstrosities version video of the behind the scenes of that series. It's very interesting. Unless you want to go completely unspoiled, then maybe wait to watch it until after you've watched Singular Point. But it doesn't really spoil too much, if I remember correctly. Off topic, but have I seen Mortal Kombat? The movie, yes. I have my opinions on that because I am a pretty, I wouldn't say huge fan, but I grew up playing Mortal Kombat, so I have a lot of affinity for that series. It's my favorite fighting series. And I found the recent movie that came out to be garbage. Let's just say that. Entertaining, but as a Mortal Kombat movie, it is pretty much what you expect from a Hollywood made video game movie, which is that it just doesn't understand the source material and it changes things for no reason, creates new characters for no reason, treats certain characters like crap. I almost might make a video about it for on another YouTube channel. That's how that's how strong my opinions are about it. On the one hand, on the positive end, it did make me revisit the recent games, Mortal Kombat 10 and 11. And man, compared to the games, the movie just looks all the worse. Because the stories in the recent Mortal Kombat games are fantastic. For what they are. Obviously, they're still kind of goofy. But everything about them is great. If you like Mortal Kombat, then the stories in these recent games are like you're in MK heaven essentially. Mortal Kombat was kind of bad, but nowhere near as bad as Mortal Kombat Annihilation. I mean, nothing's as bad as that. Though I will say this, and this might be a controversial opinion: the script of Annihilation, just the script. We're not talking about the execution here. We're not talking about the bad direction and the special effects and everything, and the bad line delivery and everything. We're just talking purely the script. As a Mortal Kombat story, Annihilation is better than 2021. It was just really, really badly made. Whereas Mortal Kombat 2021 is a worse script, but is better executed. So now there are things that are better than in it than anything Annihilation, like Kano in general. Everything with him is done better. But in general, just the script and the story in 2021 is really bad. It was written by a first-time writer and a writer who wrote Wonder Woman 1984 and a bunch of other bad things. Although he did, oddly enough, his name's David Callahan, I think. He contributed to the script for 2014, if I remember correctly. So there's an odd little connection. Wow, that guy picked up a mermaid. They should have let NetherRealm Studios write the story. Yes, seriously. Like, that would have been cheaper, probably. And it would have been better. That's not an exaggeration. Like, if they're going to make a sequel, just do that. Please, for the love of God. My boy Scorpion was great, though. Yeah, but he was in the movie for like 5 minutes. Spoilers. And again, they changed the lore with him. It was him who decided to kill Joe Brody. David Callahan. Hello, empty blockbusters. Oh, it's one of these buildings, huh? It's really hard to get to. Did you know that Lizzie was based on the Ymir from 20 Miles to Earth? I found that out because of Monster Island Buddies video. Like, I always assumed he was like, or she, sorry. She was influenced by Godzilla, but no. It was the Ymir, which now that it was pointed out to me, I was like, oh yeah, duh. That makes total sense. I have a video suggestion. Maybe you should review the Hanna-Barbera Godzilla cartoon. That is also something that I have on the docket eventually. I'm gonna be honest though. I actually was planning on doing that quite a while ago, but I tried watching the first episode and I couldn't really get through it. So I think I'm gonna have to really push myself. Maybe it gets better, but that series does not really hold up if you don't have any nostalgia for it, which I really don't. I saw bits and pieces when I was a kid on Cartoon Network. Aside from that, I have no nostalgia for that. So there's no goggles when it comes to watching the Hanna-Barbera Godzilla. So I really don't know if I'm going to come out being particularly positive with that, but maybe if I give it a shot and actually power through it, that might change. My friend had a tiny arcade version of this game and he brought it to school, so me and him played a lot during my after school program at the beginning while waiting for people. Yeah, I remember when that came out. That's pretty cool. Have I heard of Ape versus Monster? Oh yes, I've seen clips on the internet and it looks exactly like what I expected due to the fact that it's made by Asylum. I've seen enough of their films to know exactly what to expect. It seems like the only films of theirs that have any entertainment value is their shark movies, I guess. Shark versus Octopus and Sharknado. Anything else is just crap. And what I mean by that is it's not even entertaining in like a bad way, it's just boring. I tried getting through Alien vs. Hunter, which is a ripoff of Alien vs. Predator. Couldn't get through it. One of the few movies I ever actually stopped because I couldn't watch anymore. I was just bored. Monster, which is a ripoff of... You see how these titles are just so inventive? You have Alien vs. Hunter. Ape versus Monster. Monster. Just must have took them at least 5 minutes to come up with those titles. But yeah, Monster was a ripoff of Cloverfield. That one was also boring. Couldn't get through that. Because they don't have the budget for these types of movies. So it's like 99, and this is not an exaggeration, it is 99% bad acting in poorly lit, cheap sets with the occasional glimpse of a monster that looks like it came out of a cutscene from a PlayStation 1 game. Don't they only fight for like 30 seconds at the end? Yeah. And here's the funny thing: they fight in a city and they don't destroy one building because they don't have the budget for it. They're just kind of like, in like a city that they clearly found B-roll for, and it's just he grapples with the monster for a little bit and then he snaps its neck. The end. How many levels are in this game? I genuinely have no idea. Considering it's just copying pasting buildings, it could go on forever. World Tour, if I remember correctly, had something like over 100 levels. This, I don't know. How am I? I'm doing pretty good, Elgin VA. Thanks for asking. Any chance you think you'll make another YouTube channel to review non-kaiju type films? Well, before I did this channel, I actually was doing that already. So, if you go on to my the Up From the Depths YouTube channel and go to there's like I forget what it's called. There's connected other websites that are connected with it, and one of those is my other YouTube channel. So, and I talk about a lot of other stuff in there, and I might start that up again soon because, like I was saying, you know, I have my opinions about like Mortal Kombat, and I kind of want to make a video on that. So, if you're interested, check that out. There's actually a lot of videos on there because I was doing that for a few years before I committed more seriously to this channel. But I kind of want to get back to that because I have other interest in Godzilla and kaiju, and I have opinions about them, and I kind of want to get them out there. But the problem is that it takes time to make that stuff and put those opinions out there. And if I was to do that, that would be taking away time from this channel. So it's all about a balance, and I kind of have to figure that out. But I do want to do it eventually. And there's a cloud up there shooting lightning. Do you plan on reviewing some of the Godzilla 98 ripoff movies like Gargantua and Reptilian? I have also, those are also on the docket. I have a list of movies that I plan on getting to at some point. Because I've seen Gargantua. I watched the movie when I was a kid. I have really, really hazy memories about it. It deals with like a baby reptile monster. That's all I remember. So that'll be interesting to revisit. And then Young Gary, yeah, we'll get to that. Will I review Rampage? That would be a fair assessment to make. A fair guess, considering the game we're playing. This is definitely one of those kinds of games that's better with friends. Oh yeah. This game's actually kind of boring to play by yourself. But it's a good game to just chill and chat with you guys with. I don't really have to think. You can just watch me destroy some stuff mindlessly while we talk. No stress or anything. Money. I don't know what I would need money for, but on a scale of 1 to 10, how would I rate the annoyance of getting copyrighted? I mean, I've found some ways, and relative to other channels, I feel like I've been fairly lucky, and I have found ways around it. But it still happens, and it's still annoying, so I'd say 7. That seems fair. Ooh, watermelon. Which family do you prefer, the Russells or the family in Godzilla vs. Mothra? Never thought of that. You know, I'll say I think the family in Godzilla vs. Mothra might edge it out a little bit. They're as flawed as that film is. It's like second to least favorite of the Heisei films. Its human characters, particularly that family and their divorce subplot, is actually pretty decent. Ow. Ow. Money, money. We all know Rampage 2 Universal 2 is the best Rampage game, right? I don't know. I have to replay them all, which I think we will at some point. Tonight is just going to be this one. We'll do World Tour another time. And Universal Tour, and then there's even a puzzle game. I don't know if we'll do that, though. This has become my favorite YouTube channel. You clearly understand kaiju films, and thank you for your content. Well, thank you, Pop1092. I appreciate that. It really does mean a lot when people say things like that. Yellow Shirt Guy didn't make it. It's my least favorite Heisei film, Space Godzilla. I think it might be Mothra. I don't know. I've always had a soft spot for Space Godzilla because I watched it a lot when I was young, so that's gotta account for something. If the movie was really that bad, I wouldn't have rewatched it as much as I did. So. Bomb. Was it this Rampage or another one where you could turn into a super monster at some point? That would be the next one, World Tour. You could turn into like a bat creature who could just like swing his wings and destroy buildings really quickly. I think the '98 Godzilla is boring. I can't get through it. You know, I mean, I can totally see that. That movie is actually pretty uninteresting, which is baffling considering it's a Godzilla movie. Just really goes to show you how kind of a failure that movie is. It's so basic. Though I always have a soft spot for it. You can acknowledge the flaws of a work of art while at the same time admitting your subjective experience of it is valuable. Would I like it if the next MonsterVerse movie was Kong and Hollow Earth? Yeah, that'd be cool. Oh, I dropped her. See, in World Tour, if I. You see how I landed on her just then? If that had happened in World Tour, she would have been splatted. And then you could pick the splat up and eat it. Because Rampage is high art. That sounds dark. Yeah, Rampage actually has a real dark sense of humor. That's kind of what it has going for it from the very beginning. And the movie kind of misses the point. I'm gonna say that. Um, so maybe I have my opinions on the movie. You can expect not just a review, but a longer video about my issues with the Rampage movie, because I know a lot of people actually hold that movie in high esteem for what it is, and I get that. But as a Rampage movie, as an adaptation of this game that I'm playing right here and its sequels, it's actually not very good. When we were talking about video game movies with Mortal Kombat and how that movie also doesn't understand its source material, the Rampage movie is kind of the same. The difference is that Rampage isn't a beloved series, so it got away with it. But as somebody who grew up playing Rampage, I saw how the movie did nothing really with the premise. It's Rampage in name only. And I think that's an interesting topic. Like how the movie did not do a good job adapting the game into a movie. It's a fine monster movie, but as a Rampage movie, it's not the games at all. I don't even know if they call Ralph and Lizzie in the movie. They don't even look like their characters. George is turned from a human who turns into an ape that is cared for by The Rock. So he's basically Mighty Joe Young. Seen that before. Do you think pushing Mechagodzilla into GVK was a mistake? I always assumed they would use the bones they found in 2014 as a base for Mechagy, like with Kiryu. That's interesting that you say that because I had that same premise for my fan sequel that I wrote back in 2014 that I came up with in my head. That was my concept, was bringing in Mechagodzilla based on the bones of they found in the Philippines. Because that's a way of coming up with a reason like why, if you're gonna, one, it's outlandish enough to build a mech in this universe. And two, a mech that looks like Godzilla, like there's no reason for that. Just build a mech. So I figured by putting the the mech on the bones, you're answering both of those questions. Why a mech? Like that's not realistic. How could you get away with that? Well, it's because they're on Godzilla's bones. And two, why does it look like Godzilla? Because it's on Godzilla's bones. They didn't do that for some reason. They didn't even answer like why he's Mecha Godzilla. Why did Apex decide to make a robot Godzilla? I don't know. We're not interested in those types of questions. I think the Rampage movie would have been a lot more interesting if the monsters were mutated humans like the games and they sort of looked like bizarre human animal hybrids. Yeah. That's one thing that I will definitely touch upon if I ever make the video, is like how Lizzie, Ralph, and George should have been the main characters. Like they're humans turned into monsters. That's a story you can tell. And a pretty unique one at that. But instead they just went the easy route and were like, just make George a monkey that looks looked after by the Rock. And Lizzie's just a generic crocodile monster. And Ralph is a giant wolf that shoots spikes out. Whatever. They fight a little. That's it. No character. No gallows humor. They do call him Ralph. Jeffrey Dean Morgan says weirdos on the internet call him Ralph. Oh yeah, I do remember that, yeah. Okay. Not good enough, but they tried. That makes no sense. Why would people on the internet call it Ralph? Like, it's called Ralph because that was the name of the man who turned into a giant wolf. Like, that's an Easter egg at best. Oh no, I'm turning into a human in the water. I'm gonna drown. He was in the movie because I needed someone to team up against at the end of the movie. Because every versus movie with two good guys have to live at the end. Right, I understand why Mechagodzilla was in the movie, but I'm just saying they didn't explain why he's Mechagodzilla. I'm not saying they necessarily had to. The movie's silly and embraces the silliness. They don't ever explain it in the original movies why a robot Godzilla. Could have been a robot anything. So they didn't have to, but I'm just saying they could have, and it would have made it a little more plausible. And it would have made it more interesting, too. That's the thing. These things would have made it more interesting. It would have been world building. Thing is, a lot of licensed movies like that are really pre-existing scripts that have been retooled to fit the license. That's one of my theories for the Rampage movie. It's like they just took a script that was sitting around about monsters and were like, well, we got the IP to Rampage, tweak a few plot points and call it Rampage for, to get video game nerds to recognize it. I don't know if that's actually the case. I'd have to look up the production of the movie, but I would not be surprised if that was the case. I agree with you that the movie is nothing what it should have been. A Rampage should have been a lot more fun, a lot more cheesy, and did absolutely nothing with the source material. Yeah, that's my main problem with it. Fine movie for what it is, but again, just as an adaptation of a game, it's really bad. I would even say it's worse as of an adaptation, not a movie, as an adaptation than the Mario Brothers movie from the '90s, and that one's pretty bad. Make a movie where monsters punch each other and boom, Rampage. It should be a movie where monsters punch buildings, as you can see. Oh, we're destroying Portland. Out of all the Godzilla movies, which one is my favorite? My personal favorite is Godzilla vs. Biollante, which I just recently purchased a dubbed version on Blu-ray on eBay. It isn't here yet. We'll see if I ever get it, but it wasn't that expensive, so. And considering the movie's out of print on Blu-ray, and so you can only get it for like $300, you gotta do what you can to get that movie on Blu-ray. So, even though I'm a huge Mario fan, the Mario Bros. Movie sucked. I mean, yeah, it sucks. There's no question about that. And it's a worse movie than Rampage. But as an adaptation, it might be just a little more faithful than the Rampage movie. Just a little. At least it actually calls the characters by their names. And has characters from the games. Granted, Rampage doesn't really have a lot of characters, but you could have got the lady in the red dress in the movie. That would have been a fun gag. Then somebody in the chat's going to point out there actually was a lady in the red dress in the movie. You just don't remember. Is there a complete Blu-ray or DVD pack of all Godzilla movies? Not in America. Not anywhere except Japan. It's the year 2022 and we can't even get like a box set of all the Godzilla movies. It's ridiculous. I mean, you can thank ridiculous rights mismanagement over the decades, because there are different companies that own different Godzilla movies and they cannot agree to give it up or share or anything like that, because that's how businesses work. So they all have, there's like 20 different companies with 20 different Godzilla movies that they have the license to. It's just a giant mess. Although Toho ultimately has final say, so they could release it in America if they wanted to, as far as I know, although I might be wrong. Maybe part of the deal was that, New World. No, they don't even exist anymore. Who owns the rights to Godzilla 1984 if they don't exist anymore? Did I say 2022? Yes, I'm in the future. Wait, I think there is actually a lady in a red dress. She's like the main villain, and George eats her. I do remember that, but I don't remember her being in a red dress. That's the thing. I know what character you're talking about. And I remember seeing the scene where George eats her. I'm like, that's a callback to the game. One of like five. It's like in one moment, the movie actually turned into a Rampage movie, but just for a moment. Actually, there is a scene at the end where all three of them are climbing a giant tower. So credit where credit is due, I guess. Ooh, hamburger. I'm just glad all the Heisei Godzilla movies are available in the U.S. Are they? I feel that weren't all the Sony Blu-rays discontinued as well, so they're like hard to come by as well. That's the thing. A lot of these movies are available in America but because they're not published anymore, printed anymore. They're super expensive, so they're actually hard to get. Ross Wolf with $5 super chat. Thank you. The Mario Bros. Movie isn't good, but it is very fun to watch. Think of it as a 90s sci-fi schlock B movie instead, and it's quite enjoyable. Yeah, I've heard that. That it's a Mario Bros. Movie, it's terrible, but as a movie, it's not so bad. And if you watch it a certain way. How many Godzilla films do I have on DVD? I have the whole Showa collection, so that's 15 right there. I have King Ghidorah and Mothra double pack. Um, the Space Godzilla and Destroya double pack. 2000. So most of the Millennium films except for SOS. Obviously all the American films, including '98. I have most of them. There's just a few notable ones missing, like Beyonce and Tokyo SOS. What if Godzilla was the bad guy or Ghidorah was the bad guy and Godzilla the good guy in GMK? It'd be kind of the same movie, really. I think. Just, I mean, as we've seen, most of the monsters were supposed to be different monsters, so I think switching the monsters out didn't really change the story all that much. I hope Criterion makes a collection of the Heisei Millennium series. I really like the Showa one. I hope so. I don't think they consider Criterion Collection is for like pristine classic films, and I don't think the Heisei films are considered like classics like the Showa films are. Showa films have a certain amount of like historical clout to them, whereas all the films after that I don't think have that. So I doubt Criterion is really clamoring for the Heisei film collection. I remember watching Rampage with my mom a few years ago, and we just found the humor cringy. And from what I remember, the action was kind of average. Yeah, I remember Jeffrey Dean Morgan's character being kind of like, you're just Negan from Walking Dead, just light. Like he's doing the lean and everything. In your point of view, would you go to great lengths to compare the Rampage movie to Godzilla '98 when it comes to being a faithful adaptation of its source material? Um, I think I mean both of them don't understand the point, so they're similar in that way. two very different types of movies, but I don't know if I necessarily say they're equatable, but there's some similarities in terms of how they treat the source material. This game's a lot easier. We don't have to worry about running out of quarters. Yeah, very easy. I have all the show and Haysafe except for Godzilla vs. Mechagodzilla 2. Yeah, I'm missing that one and Biolante on DVD. I missed getting that one on Blu-ray. I should have snatched that one up as soon as I could, but when that came out on Blu-ray, I think I wasn't really like collecting Godzilla movies at the time, so I wasn't. It kind of just slipped by, and by the time it mattered to me, it was too late. Hi man, I love your MonsterVerse content. Thank you. You can look forward to more MonsterVerse content in the short-term future. So stay tuned. What are some of my favorite video games of all time? Um, I'd go with some of them include multiple games, like the Mass Effect trilogy. Ending aside, I would still include that. The God of War trilogy is also really good. Um, some Resident Evil games are some of my all-time favorites. The remake of the first game, Resident Evil 4. What else? Witcher 3. Trying to think of like older games that I would consider. Like all the games I'm naming are like newer-ish games. I guess I would include Doom 2. I grew up with that one. All Monsters Attack is my least favorite Godzilla movie because Ichiro and Minoa are so annoying. I mean, you're not alone in that opinion. Even though that movie still has gained some respectability in the years, it's still considered one of the generally least favorite entries in the series by most people. Ow, stop. Is Cthulhu a kaiju? Well, he is giant and he is strange, so I would say, yeah, he fits the bill. Ooh, fishbowl. Is motion capture just another form of suitmation? I don't know if I'd say it in that specific way, but it's similar. Um, and that you're doing a performance, but it's not summation, it's mocap. It's a different thing, but the result can be similar. It's just that you're not wearing a suit. What if the Godzilla anime trilogy was available on DVD in the US? I'd buy it. You gotta support Godzilla when you can. Even if you don't necessarily like the movies, just look at add them to your collection, am I right? Even though I think All Monsters Attack is the worst film in the series, I actually think it's more fun to watch than Godzilla Raids Again. Oh yeah. At least at the very worst, you can watch that movie as an entertaining, like, bad movie sort of way. I mean, I wouldn't even go so far as to say that it's that bad, but if you do feel the way about it, you can at least watch it that way. Whereas Raids Again is just dull because it takes itself seriously, but it doesn't have the the skill that its predecessor had. So it's just a bunch of boring, like meh, going on, which is why I gave it 1 star. I think a big part of the reason why I was so harsh on the movie too is it's not a movie I have a nostalgia for because I was never able to get my hands on Raids again. Like, let's not kid ourselves. Nostalgia plays a big part in the way we view a lot of Godzilla movies, depending on when we watch them. So, even if a movie is like technically bad, we might enjoy it to a certain extent because we grew up with it. So, and that's probably how it is with a lot of Godzilla movies. But with Raids Again, I was never able to get that one, so I didn't see it until the original Japanese version. I don't think I actually saw it until I reviewed it for the channel. Like, that movie was so hard to find, at least where I was. I don't know if that's the case everywhere in America, but I just could never find that movie. Well, first of all, there was no Japanese version in America, so it would only be Gigantus the Fire Monster. That's the reason why it's so hard to find that movie. It's because that movie was so butchered when it was presented in America. So that if you even wanted to find that version of it, although they did release it on DVD years ago, so I could have seen it if I wanted to, but I just never got around to it. So I have no doubt that if I saw the movie when I was younger, I'd probably have more nostalgia for it, and I probably wouldn't have been as hard on it. But since I had no nostalgia, I watched it as an adult, and I was just like, this movie's kind of boring. Respect, though. You know, it was a Godzilla Raids Again was a necessary film because it was the first, as far as I know, the first monster versus monster movie. So it has growing pains, and that type of movie was necessary. Just like Godzilla '98 was like growing pains for like adapting Godzilla for Western audiences. Like, it was the mistake that needed to be made before they realized what they needed to do. That's what Raids Again was. I wouldn't go so far as calling it a mistake. It's not a mistake, but it was them figuring things out, figuring out how to stage monster fights, and they made some mistakes along the way, particularly with the way they shot it, with the frame rate and everything, or the speed, I should say, of the camera. But they learned from that, and they did better after that. So it was a necessary movie. Okay, I meant to eat the guy, not the dynamite. It also set up Godzilla fighting other kaiju. Exactly. Like, there is, like, Raids Again introduced the concept. Godzilla versus King Kong, or King Kong versus Godzilla, was the film that was successful with that formula, and and they followed that formula to a T in the subsequent Godzilla movies. So it was really Godzilla versus Kong that really established the versus formula, but Raids Again started it. That was like the one where they first initially came up with the idea and tried to execute it. Like I said, as much as I don't really like Raids Again personally, respect for every single person that was involved in making that movie. Like, I got nothing against anybody involved in the making of that movie. I have nothing against anybody in the making of any of the Godzilla movies, even though the ones that people don't really like. I mean, why would I? It's just a movie. You know, nobody got hurt, hopefully. Okay, the suit actors got hurt, but Godzilla versus or Godzilla Raids Again is the movie that I wouldn't watch but appreciate for its historical value. Yeah, I'm kind of the same way. Like, that's not a movie where I'm gonna like sit down and be like, let's rewatch Godzilla Raids Again. Like, maybe I'll watch the Godzilla versus Anger's fight, but I don't think I ever see myself like just watching it for fun. I ate that guy out the window when I was falling. Do I think Godzilla 1984 was released on Blu-ray to celebrate the release of Shin Godzilla? Uh, I can't remember when that Blu-ray came out. If it came out in 2016, then maybe, or it might have been a coincidence. I'd say the first half was decent, but the second half, yeah, that's a weird thing about Raids Again is that like it's very like top heavy. Godzilla defeats Angus, and then the movie's still got like 30 minutes left, or 20 minutes left, or something. Like it's still got like a final act to get through. It's so weirdly structured. No, I want to save. Oh. I met a fan that said people who don't like the film aren't true fans. I mean, that's just silly. The whole idea of true fan is itself a silly concept. There are different levels of fandom. That's the concept I think a lot of people don't seem to understand. There are casual fans who, if you tell them the name of Godzilla's son, they might not know that he's called Manila because they're not that steeped in the lore of Godzilla or the history or anything like that. But you know, maybe they like Godzilla enough that they've seen a few movies and maybe they got a T-shirt or something or some merch or whatever, and they like Godzilla in a casual sense. That like they like the concept of the character, and they try to see the modern movies in theaters if they can, you know, stuff like that. And that's a casual Godzilla fan. There's nothing wrong with that. Just because they don't know who Ijai Tsuburaya is doesn't mean that they're not like a Godzilla fan. There's just different levels of fandom. And there's the people who really know their stuff. People like David Khaled or Steve Godzewski, or however you say his name. My apologies to the man for not being able to say his name, but or Norman England, or I think that's who I got the name correct. I mean, there's experts out there who really know the history of this stuff. Then there's people like me who's kind of like in between. Like I'm pretty hardcore, I know a lot more than a lot of other people, but I'm by no means an expert. Ooh, toast. Would I like to see the Pipeworks Godzilla trilogy games be released on modern systems? Yeah, but more than anything, I just like a new Godzilla game in general. I made the suggestion on Twitter that I would love to see a Primal Rage remake done by, or at least a sequel, whatever you want to call it, a new Primal Rage done by NetherRealm, because they do such a good job of Mortal Kombat. The idea of them doing like a giant monster fighting game that's just as brutal and has just as good of a story mode just sounds really awesome. And hey, if they want to do a kaiju game, a Godzilla game, Toho needs to give them a ring and say, yo, make a Godzilla fighting game. Obviously, it wouldn't be as brutal as Mortal Kombat, but NetherRealm doesn't just make brutal fighting games. They make the DC fighting games too, Injustice and everything. So they don't need to make it bloody. They're just good at making fighting games. Am I ever going to watch the Godzilla cartoon? I assume you mean the Hanna-Barbera cartoon? Hola, says their PM. I'm going to get this guy. Oh, never mind. He'll be back. I got Godzilla Unleashed for my Wii one Christmas, and it just so happened to be the very same Christmas where my Wii broke. Oh, that sucks, man. That's very unfortunate. Ow. The one that came out in the 90s? I did a whole video on that, so if you haven't seen it, check it out. I've made my opinion about the 98 Godzilla series very, it's very well known at this point if you've seen the video. What is the most embarrassing thing that happened to Godzilla? I don't know. I'd have to think about that. That's okay, Skidoo. They'll probably be ending the stream pretty soon anyway. I got the lady. And she got away. What do I think of the name changes for Singular Point? Sister PM, if you keep doing that, I might have to block you. I'm just saying. I'm giving you a chance. Maybe when Rodan dropped Godzilla onto the electrical tower right on his groin, that might be one of the most embarrassing moments. That had to hurt. What do I think of the name changes for Singular Point? I guess it's appropriate given the concept, but it's also kind of silly because apparently Gabra isn't Gabara. It's like, okay. Was it in Astro Monster? No, I'm talking about Ghidorah the Three-Headed Monster. You just reminded me of that scene. That's all. No, that wasn't in Astro Monster. The dancing was in Astro Monster. Why did I choose the name Up from the Depths? Because it's associated with Godzilla, the Hanna-Barbera cartoon. And it's a pretty good name for a YouTube channel. You know, when you're deciding to create a Godzilla-focused YouTube channel, you try to think of a name that's that's appropriate and will be memorable. And I figured that fit that criteria fairly well. I like the new monkey Gabara, but he's not Gabara though. I mean, technically, he doesn't have Gabara's roar. All the monsters that are supposed to be their monsters have their roars in Singular Point. But the ones that don't, at least as far as I've gotten, don't have their roars. So I guess that's kind of the what to look out for. If a monster is actually technically the monster that they look like, if they have the roar, then they're supposed to be the monster. Like, Rodan looks just as weird as Gabara, this new Gabara does, but he has Rodan's roar, whereas the Gabara does not, so I guess Gabara isn't really Gabara. It's just a monster they decided to pay homage to Gabara with. The same thing with Titanosaurus, which it really isn't Titanosaurus. Thanks, Night Hunter 07. What if Steve Martin had a son in Godzilla 2000? Why Godzilla 2000? Alright, see you later, Skidoo. Thanks for stopping by as usual. Oh, right in the butt. I really wish the Monsterverse had some really good overarching plot writing for the humans. I am baffled why they even bothered to bring back Madison and have her dad to have them do minimal to the plot. Yeah, it's kind of weird. Yo, what's up, Blue Nova? I just realized you were here. I even read that comment and I didn't realize it was you. Oh my god. Rodan seems a bit like Heisei Ghost. Yeah. Especially in Gamera 3 when there's like a huge swarm of them. Whoops. I think this game is infinite. Well, remember, this game was designed for an arcade cabinet, so they didn't expect anybody would get, like, really that far without spending a fortune. So they probably did design it to just go on forever. You just go on as long as you can, as long as you have the money for it. Try to rack up that high score. Dynamite! I'm King Kong. Look at me. I'm King Kong. What if Madison becomes the soul inside a monstrous Biolante? I don't know if I like that idea. Just make it. If they're gonna do that, just make a new character. We're in Tampa Bay. Although I suppose they could run out of cities at some point, as there are not infinite cities. Ow, my face. Ah, the man in the tub. Only legends remember this banana oil. I know that joke. I understood that reference. What's up, Mike's Monsters? Mike's Monsters is the coolest. Check his YouTube channel out if you haven't. Blue Nova's cool too. Check his YouTube channel out. He's actually released like 2 videos within the last couple of weeks. Come on, Toaster. Pop some toast. Ah! I want my toast. There we go. There are apparently 768 levels in this game. Oh man, I barely scratched the surface. I mean, that might as well be infinite. You think anybody back in the day of the arcades actually spent the money to get to the final level of this game? Stop. Godzilla attacked my state in Godzilla vs. Kong. How dare he destroy Florida? How dare he? Godzilla should be condoned for destroying Florida. Good on him. That just makes me like him even more. Good job. I'm kidding, but kinda not. Are you going to take a look at the recent travesty cooked up by our good old friends at Asylum 8 vs. Monster? I'm tempted, but my fear is that I won't be able to get through the movie because it's so boring. But maybe I'll try. As a citizen of Florida, I was cheering when Godzilla was coming for Florida. See, even Floridians agree. I think that's the first time Godzilla's ever attacked Florida, too, so I'll give GVK credit for that. Godzilla 2005, that's just his opinion, and it's okay if he has a different opinion than yours. Like, it's good to take in other people's opinions. It opens up your perspective. It's okay if you like the Ace films more than the anime trilogy. That's cool. We're all friends here. Hopefully. I like Florida. I feel like I'm the only one. Okay, when you say like, do you mean like the environment or in the cities and stuff, or do you mean the people? Usually when people admonish Florida, it's usually because a certain type of person comes to mind when you think of Florida. I gotta get me yellow shirt guy. He's just like, help, I'm trapped in this hotel. And now you're gorilla food. I have a friend in Florida. Hopefully he survived the Godzilla attack. I mean, he only attacked the Apex facility, so unless he works for Apex, he's fine. It's Hong Kong I'd be more worried about. That city got trashed. Have I heard of Wikizilla, and what monster would you want to narrate if they invited you on? I have heard of Wikizilla. What monster would I want to narrate? Uh, I don't know, maybe Singular Point Angers? I feel like they've probably done every monster at this point. They've been around for a while. I love Florida. They have Gatora there. My friend was visiting Hong Kong. No. Oh. Yeah, there's no survivors in that city. The funny thing about Florida is that it doesn't have laws protecting the details of a crime, so other states are likely just as insane. You just don't realize it because it doesn't make the papers. You're probably right. Perception plays a lot into, well, the way we see things. That's what perception is. So we perceive Florida as being crazier than other states, when in reality, the numbers probably don't support that. But it's a fun meme anyway, so. Have I ever played Evil Within or Dead Space games? I have. I've played Evil Within 1 and 2, and Dead Space 1 and 2. In both cases, I didn't own the games. I borrowed them from a friend or played with him. I think Evil Within 1 and 2, no, I think I played with him with all those games. So I didn't play them by myself, thankfully, because they're scary. Will I review the Rampage movie? I've been asked that question many times in the stream, and I will just say it's not a coincidence that I'm playing this game right now. I'll just say that. I do have plans to review it in the future, and more. No! That was my dinner. I'm 80% sure the reason they picked Hong Kong for the final battle on GVK is because, King Kong, Hong Kong. No, I'm pretty sure the reason they picked Hong Kong is because the movie was made for the Chinese market. Like, Legendary is owned by a Chinese corporation, so the MonsterVerse films exist because of the Chinese market. Like, they wouldn't be around if they weren't made for China in mind. And it did really well in China, so you can see why. I'm not saying, if the pandemic had never happened, it might have done better in America, but it still would have done really well in China. Hong Kong was for Chinese ticket sales. Exactly. Do I like GVK more than the Snyder Cut? I would say the Snyder Cut is a better movie. It actually had human characters that I somewhat cared for. So, I mean, it's 4 hours long compared to Godzilla vs. Kong's breezy 1 hour and 45 minutes, so they're not really comparable. One's an epic, the other is a breezy monster movie. Thank you, MT Blockbusters. Catch you later. Do you think they should make a Rampage sequel? Sure. You might not have been here when I talked briefly about it, but I have my opinions about the movie, the Rampage movie. They're not all positive, but they're for specific reasons. Did I hear there's going to be a new Dragon Ball Super movie coming next year? I did hear that today. It accidentally got leaked. They were going to announce it on Goku Day, which is apparently May 9th or something. So that's pretty cool. Do I think Universal will ever attempt to make their own King Kong movie again? Oh, I ate poison on accident. I don't know, maybe. Like, I really don't think we need a remake again. Ever. Like, frankly, ever again. Don't make another King Kong remake. Mike's Monster's stoked for the new Dragon Ball movie. Yeah, I'll try to see it in theaters. I've seen all the recent Dragon Ball movies in theaters. Considering how well Demon Slayer's been doing in theaters, I would expect the new Dragon Ball movie is gonna probably have the widest release of any of the movies so far. Doing some DBZ toy photography tomorrow for Goku Day. Nice. I look forward to seeing it. You can't tap Peter Jackson's version. I mean, there's that plus the fact that it's like there's been two major remakes already, and considering how epic Peter Jackson's version is, there's really no reason to ever remake King Kong again. Like that era is over, or it should be over if they know what's good for them. Nobody wants to see a remake of the original again. Do you think the Legendary Films is having a go at us like Peter Jackson did when he announced that he would be making a sequel to the 2005 film of Rebel Kong's albino gorilla son? I remember when he did an April Fool's joke about that. I think that was one of the production diaries. It was. They even did fake concept art and interviewed Naomi Watts and Jack Black about like, oh yeah, we're announcing Son of Kong with like official title and release date and everything. Like they went them like all the way in terms of trying to like fool people into thinking that they were making a sequel. And it was just one giant elaborate April Fool's. Did I see the Stranger Things season 4 trailer? I am aware of it, but I did not watch it just because, like, I'm interested in Stranger Things, but less so than I used to be, and it's like I'll watch it when it comes out. Like I saw it play a bit on Twitter on my timeline, but I didn't actually click on it and watch it. Okay, what day are we on? I'm gonna figure out a good solid number to end this stream on. So we'll figure it out after this day. We're probably on day like 72 or 73. Close. We're gonna go to 75. We're gonna end it there. So just 3 more days. I remember King Kong Into the Wolf Slayer. Kiko would have fought Nazis and mutated dinosaur hybrids. I've never heard of that. Would I ever do a Godzilla Land review? I don't know what I would review, considering it's just a children's cartoon about addition and subtraction and learning hiragana and stuff. If anything, it would have to be more about like just kind of the history of it and some facts about it, not so much a review. Because my review would basically amount to it's a cute children's Godzilla cartoon. Like that's it. Because it's cute and I find it endearing. But I don't think I have much to say about it. Okay, it didn't tell me what day it is, so I don't know what day this is. Yellow shirt guy. See you later, Artivesh. Do I think Summation will make a return in future Godzilla films? I think if they make a live action Godzilla film again, it's gonna be a combination of mocap and practical effects like Shin Godzilla. Shin Godzilla is the prototype Godzilla film for all films going forward. Everything so far that Toho has made has been similar in style to that, so I would assume a live action film will follow suit and do similar types of effects that that film did, which was mocap and um, some limited practical effects that they kind of blended together. He recently acquired a Godzilla Land VHS tape. Wow, that's pretty. You gotta probably go to some places to get something like that. I just find clips on YouTube. As far as I know, there's only like 3 episodes available for free. It's the addition episode, subtraction, and where they learn hiragane, some basic language. The Monsterverse technically uses suitmation motion capture, which is basically digital suitmation. Yeah. Although I don't think they did suitmation in GVK. I think that was all keyframing. Yeah, that's what they call it. Which is kind of a shame. Because I noticed there was no TJ Storm for Godzilla. I want my toast. Come on. There we go. He wasn't credited in GVK as far as I know. So that kind of sucks. Okay, last day. I wasn't able to get the lady in the red dress. I'm such a failure. You wish the Godzilla anime trilogy never existed. Why? You can just not watch it if you don't like it. And it didn't really tarnish that Godzilla name, because it's, Godzilla's been around for so long. There have been plenty of bad movies. This, even if you don't think highly of the anime trilogy, at worst, it's just another bad chapter in a long-running, many-chapter-filled saga. They have had many ups and downs, and this is just another down. And there'll be another up, and there'll be more downs. You talked to someone specific that told you there wasn't mocap? Yeah, that kind of sucks. Takes a bit of the fun out of it. Takes a bit of the humanity out of it. Alright, guys. We went through 75 days of destruction. I think we're going to call it a night. It's been pretty much 2 hours exactly, so it went way longer than I thought it would, considering how repetitive this game is. But it's been fun. Thanks to everybody who came out to the stream tonight. Special shout out again to Mike's Monsters, Boonova. Check their channels out. Subscribe. Maybe next time we'll play World Tour, or maybe we'll just go through the Rampage games in the subsequent weeks. Can't promise if there'll be a stream every week that there used to be, but I'll let you guys know if a stream's coming up.